Hey there, Facebook. Hey there, YouTube. Hey there, LinkedIn. Hello, worldwide. Welcome to Kari's Corner at our brand new time. So some of you may be getting that alert on your phone and you're like, Worldwide is live right now. And you're like, wait a minute, why is Worldwide live right now? They're an hour early. Pump the brakes, Worldwide. No, we are an hour early. I spoke with Tracy, the man behind the magic, and I was like, you know what? This time slot worked really well for me in my day. So it might take some adjustment for you guys. Maybe it works better for you guys. Of course, we would love your feedback. But this is the new time slot for Kari's Corner, and I'm pretty pumped about it. I'm not going to lie. So if you are new to my corner, if you're new to Worldwide, if you're new to the show, or if you're a seasoned veteran, please drop in the comments below. Drop in the comments. Let me know who you are, where you're watching from. Are you a worldwide nurse? Are you shopping for a staffing agency? Where do you land on that spectrum, right? So let me know who you are and where you're tuning in from. We have a great show today, a really great show that's going to speak to nurses and their families. I feel like so many times we spend so much time and energy really investing in, of course, a nurse's transition to the United States. But so many of you are coming over with not just yourself, you're coming over with your family too, right? And sometimes that family involves little tiny babies, maybe babies that aren't even born yet. Some of it involves older children, high school age children, right? So all the way through that spectrum, you are bringing children and families with you. So today's show is to help those of you and talk to those of you who are bringing families with you. Shopping for a staffing agency, watching from Zambia. Hello, Sam. Thanks so much for tuning in today. I'm so happy you are here. Like Sam, if you are new here or if you've been here before, drop in the comments. Let me know where you're watching from. Remember, on my I've had guests for the past few weeks, but just a friendly reminder during the show, yes, I do have kind of a theme for the show of what I'm talking about. However, I still welcome any of those questions that you have. Questions about the immigration process, questions about the English language exam, which exam should you take, where is that exam accepted, all of those wonderful things. So if you still have those questions and this is a great time. You have a worldwide employee live in the camera and you have another one behind the scenes who is happy to do that research and figure out answers to any of those questions that you have. Even if you've already emailed your case manager and you just want an answer right now, you're welcome to ask it. So anytime during the show, just pop those questions in the chat. Happy to answer them. So we have some announcements that we need to get through first, of course. Next Wednesday, we have a live webinar from Victoria and Jasper Yap. They are Pfizer's, and they're going to talk to you about how to save your money, invest your money, all of that kind of stuff. They're going to talk a lot about what that looks like when you arrive in the United States, but they're also going to talk to you about saving money, which is what you should be in the process of doing now if you're considering immigration or if you're in the immigration process. So that is next Wednesday. It's a live stream with Victoria and Jasper Yap. If you are in the Abu Dhabi region, if you're in Abu Dhabi, Mark Bennett, it is Ramadan. So I don't know if you say happy Ramadan or how that works, but it is Ramadan. And Mark Bennett will be hosting a special iftar dinner. It is paid for. You just have to go online and reserve your seat. And information on how to do that is on all of our social media channels, all of our social media spaces. So an iftar dinner with Mark Bennett in Abu Dhabi. That's next Tuesday. Go have an iftar dinner with Mark. Celebrate Ramadan. Such a cool experience. I'm celebrating 2 years at Worldwide today, so it's a little bit of an anniversary for me. I have appreciated my 2 years at Worldwide. Super just thankful and happy to be here. I told Ron this morning, the highlight of my experience has definitely been traveling to the Philippines and South Korea with Ron and his beautiful, wonderful wife, Sherry. So big special thank you to those at Worldwide that made this position happen. Super happy to be here. Kari's Corner. crazy things. My little sister is having a baby today. I just have to announce it to the entire world because it's my little sister and she's having a baby boy today. So thoughts, good vibes, and prayers go out to my little sister today. And then it's March Madness here in the United States. If you, when you get to the US, if you're a sports enthusiast at all, basketball, college basketball is a big thing in the US. I know that around the world, the NBA is really big, right? LeBron James and Steph Curry, those are global names. But in the US, we also love our college basketball. I personally love college basketball more than I love professional basketball. But all of the college teams participate and they get a chance to go to what we call the dance. And it is it's 64 teams from all over the United States, and over the coming weeks that they play in a tournament that gets narrowed down to one national champion. So I'm a little torn because I'm wearing a Tar Heels shirt, and that's the University of North Carolina. So if any of you out there have signed an offer with North Carolina, go Tar Heels, right? But I am a Florida Gator. I'm a born and bred Florida girl. So I'm wearing this for my husband today, and tomorrow I'll be wearing my Florida Gator stuff. So college basketball season, so much fun. Just pick a team, follow a team, even if you're not a basketball person. They make brackets that you fill out and call this bracket challenge, call it bracketology. Like there's a real science behind it. It's so much fun just to pick a team and follow a team and see if your team wins. That's what my family does. We all fill out a bracket, and whoever gets the most points or the most games correct, they get to choose where we go out to eat dinner. So I'm really hoping my youngest doesn't win because she wants Taco Bell. So we shall see. But with all of that being said, let's get started with today's show. Remember, if you have any questions about anything English language related, immigration related, pop it in the chat. Pop it in the chat. I'm here for those questions, okay? First, I'm going to bring on, this is a pre-recorded video, but what I did was I reached out to a few people who are involved in education, and we're going to be focusing on school today. So if you're traveling with children, or you have children that you will be registering in the school system when you arrive, today's show is going to be a great show for you. So what I want to show you first, her name is Dr. Aranda. And I had the pleasure of working with Dr. Aranda. She is what we call an ESL coordinator, right? English as a second language coordinator for the Fort Mill school system in South Carolina. And she has some great tips for students who are enrolling in the public school system. So let me play her video for you.
Hello, my name is Alana Aranda, and I am the ESOL teacher at Catawba Ridge High School. Multilingual learners for almost 20 years now, and have loved witnessing the empowerment and growth and opportunities that comes with learning a new language. My top piece of advice has several steps. First, take a deep breath and trust that things are going to work out. ESOL teachers, classroom teachers, guidance counselors, and administrators should work together to make sure you have what you need to be the best student you can be. Then, know that you must be patient with yourself. Learning a language takes time, and that learning never really ends. Students born in the United States who only speak English take English classes from kindergarten through 12th grade, and even adults continue to learn new words every day. You will learn the vocabulary and the grammar too with lots of practice. Also, work with the ESOL teacher at your school to make sure you understand the academic support they can give you. Even though the ESOL teacher may not be in every class with you every day, they can collaborate with your other teachers and make sure you have the support you need to be successful. Next, find a supportive group of peers. You can do this by joining school clubs or sports. Hang out with people who do have similar interests as you and who want to be successful both inside the classroom and outside of the classroom. The ESOL teacher can help connect you with peers too if you need a little help with this. Finally, use your new language every day. The more you practice your listening, reading, speaking, and writing, the stronger your language will be. I know that moving to a new school is overwhelming, but you are strong and capable. I know you can and will be successful.
So a special thank you to Dr. Aranda. She is absolutely amazing. She's a wonderful, wonderful educator, and I'm so thankful that I had the opportunity to work with her. But she gives a lot of great tips and tricks for you to be and for your child to be successful. A lot of the tips she gave, though, are true for you as nurses in the workplace, too. The more you practice your reading, your writing, your speaking, and your listening in English, the better you're going to become. It has to happen every single day. You can't miss a day. So really practice that. So I have some tips and tricks for kids and parents to find success in the United States. Okay. Remember, if you're watching, make sure you tune in those, pop in those questions in the chat if you have questions as we go along. So my first slide is going to be just a friendly reminder, and this information is going to be available on Tracy just let me know that chats are not showing up. Chats are coming in, but I'm not seeing them either, Tracy. So Tracy we may have to figure out something with chats and questions, because I was going to say it's a very quiet audience today. So if there are any questions, Tracy is going to have to message me on another platform to make sure I get your chats and your questions. So if there's any questions, Tracy, you're going to have to let me know about those questions. He's typing right now. So enrolling your child in school. And this is true for kindergarten all the way through seniors in high school. Even when you go to register for college, you're going to have a lot of this documentation. Medical records and immunizations. Now, if you're coming from a country where these medical records and immunizations are going to be in another language, if you can have them translated, that would make life so much easier and smoother in the process of enrolling your child. So medical records and immunizations, those are your shots and your vaccines, right? A birth certificate. Got to have your child's birth certificate to enroll in school. That is mandatory. Transcripts. Now, this is going to be really important for middle, especially high school, because we need to know what courses your child has already taken. And then we have to find the best fit. It's not going to match right next to each other, right? Even moving a child within the United States, your transcripts, it's hard to match them exactly because each state kind of does their own thing. There is no United States curriculum that everybody follows kindergarten through 12th grade. Each state does their own thing, which is kind of a pain, but it's the reality of things. So for example, if you were going to take marine biology, right? That may not be offered at all school systems. Okay, so you have to look at kind of what's available to you and what you've already taken. Certain courses, and especially in high school, may have what are called prerequisites. And what that means is you have to have taken other courses before you can take this one. So that's why your transcripts are super important. We do have, oh, thank you. Safe delivery for her in Jesus' name. Thank you so much. Yes, absolutely, for my sister today. Great information. Thank you, Janelle. Thank you. I'm so glad you're enjoying this information. Why is it recommended not to travel on your visitor visa to the U.S. when your I-140 is filed? It's a great question, David. Let me finish this slide and I'm going to get right to that. Payment, watching in Qatar. Hello in Qatar. Payment. It does cost. Public education in the United States is free, but there is like an enrollment fee, and kind of what that enrollment fee goes to. Sometimes it goes to textbooks. If your child wants to participate in sports, there's usually an athletic fee associated with that. So it is publicly funded by the government. And it's a small fee. It's usually not a large fee at all. Like $50 is usually around what you're looking at. 50, maybe $100. It's going to depend on where you are. And then proof of residency. A lot of districts, school districts, that's kind of how it's separated in the United States, is on school districts. So for example, some districts may be separated by what's called a county. So within a state, you have cities, yes, but you also have counties, and then you have districts. So for example, I live in York County, but within York County, there are 4 school districts because there are multiple cities in York County. You have York, Clover, Rock Hill, and Fort Mill, all within that one county. So they separated into districts. So in order to attend school in a certain district, you need to provide proof of residency in that district. So if I lived outside of Fort Mill, I would not be able to send my children to school in Fort Mill. So proof of residency, and that's just an address. That's your, a lot of times your driver's license will say that, but they'll ask for a bill, like a utility bill, water, electrical, internet bill, something like that. So proof that you live where you live, right? So a great question was asked. Again, it doesn't have anything to do with school, but I told you guys, ask these questions because you have the opportunity to do so. Why is it recommended not to travel on your visitor visa to the US once your I-140 is filed? So the reason that is because it can raise a red flag in your immigration process. It's going to get flagged that you traveled to the US. Now, if you travel like for a week, then that obviously does. That just kind of looks like a trip, right? You took a vacation to Disney World with your family for a week, right? But if you try to come over here and stay for a lengthier period of time, that really raises a red flag with the US government. Like, why you've already applied for a visa to live over here. Like, why are you coming over here earlier? And you want this process to go as smooth as possible. You do not want any red flags. And when I say red flag, that's like, whoa, 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 caution, look at this. This is different. You don't want to draw extra attention to yourself, right? You don't want to draw that extra attention. So that's why we suggest you don't travel to the United States once your petition is filed. Okay. It's just you want your process to go smoothly. You don't want them to have to go digging into your past, checking into, why did you do that? Could cause a delay in your petition because there's more to investigate, right? So you want it to go boom, 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 super smooth, super quick, super fast. And not visiting the United States is going to help that. So I hope I answered your question, David. Hope I answered your question. Why do you have to require applicants to go back to bedside before matching them with an employer? Great question. Great question. The reason we do that, it's not worldwide that sets those requirements. So I want to be very clear on that. Worldwide does not require, we do not set the requirements of our applicants. We communicate the requirements of the applicants based on what our clients require. So the hospitals and the employers that you will be working with have this requirement. Okay, so I want to be very clear on that first. And the reason they want you to be bedside and have current bedside experience is because so much changes in the health field, in the healthcare field, technology-wise, patient care-wise, so much changes. And if you take time off or time away, or you hadn't worked in a few years, your experience isn't up to date. And so not only do we require you to have up-to-date current bedside experience, we also require you to continue working. That not we, your employer, will require you and expect you to continue working while you're in process. Now, obviously, a couple of weeks before you depart, even maybe a month before you depart because you're getting ready to leave and come over to the United States, absolutely, that makes sense. You have to stop and finish your job and pack your house and your life, right? So that makes sense. But you need to be working all the way through this process just because that's the employer's expectation of you, not worldwide. Worldwide is not your employer. We are a direct hire, which means that you will be working with an employer. We're just the middleman that helps you meet the employer. Consider us like a dating service, right? We're just helping to connect you with a match. And then it's up to the employer to set those requirements. And then it's up to you to meet those requirements. So those are just the expectations of the employers. Could one go apply for visa screening before getting a job in the US? Yes, Rita, you can absolutely get a visa screen before getting a job in the US. However, the visa screen is what I like to remind people that it is a time-sensitive document, right? And to get your visa screen, you have to pass an English exam. Well, English exams have a shelf life of 2 years, and many states require that your English exam be current and up to date when you apply for your license in that state. Now, once you put it on the visa screen, your visa screen is good for 5 years. So that's why I always suggest waiting to get your visa screen. But some people like to go ahead and have it because they think it speeds up the process. Having your visa screen is not going to speed up whether the length of time it takes for your petition to be filed. Does not speed up that process. So I want to be very clear on that. And it's a time-sensitive document. So can you go ahead and do it before you get a job in the US? Yes. But once you get it, that clock starts ticking. You've got 5 years and 2 years on your English exam. So that's my advice in regards to the visa screen. So let's go on to the next thing after enrolling your child. So to find success in and out of the classroom as a parent, in the United States, in many school districts, parents are encouraged to be involved in their child's education. And by involved, I don't just mean quizzing them on their homework when they get home. I mean, you're physically involved in the school. There is a presence. You see parents in the school building volunteering all the time, all the time. So get involved in your child's school. Offer to chaperone a field trip. That's a great way to get involved. It's a great way to see who your kids' friends are. Wink, wink, right? Make sure they're making good choices on who they're making their friends with. You can see your child in their environment at school, see how they behave when they're at school. Get to know your child's teacher. Email communication between parents and teachers is very common, and it is an expectation. All grades are on almost every school system. Your grades are online through a parent portal of some sort. So sometimes you don't hear as much from the teacher because all your grades are available right there, but get to know your child's teacher. Make sure you thank them and appreciate them as your child's teacher as well. Many districts also have what's called a PTA or a PTO. That's a parent-teacher association or parent-teacher organization. That's a great thing to be involved in. Some of them, you'll have a lot of stay-at-home mom or dads who are kind of running it, but they give you different volunteer opportunities to work at various school events. And then another thing that you can do to help your child be successful is to speak English when your child's at home. I know it is so easy to just go back into the habit of speaking your native language at home, right? It's so easy. But if you want your child to truly find success in the school system, they need to hear it, not just for the 8 hours a day that they're in school. They need to be using it at home. And they're going to feel a lot more comfortable using it at home with their parents than they are like practicing the speaking is usually going to mostly happen at home because that's their comfort zone. They're not going to immediately stand up in front of their class and just try to start speaking English. I mean, some kids will, and more power to them, absolutely. But you have got to encourage those skills at home too. Don't just let them revert back into. Now, don't lose your native language. Keep that native language because it's beautiful and I love it. And being bilingual is amazing. But give that skill to your child too. Give that skill of being bilingual to your child. Because that's really going to take them places in the US. People who are bilingual, that opens so many career opportunities and so many career doors for your children, which as parents, that's what we like to do, right? Watching from Ghana. Hello in Ghana. Thank you for tuning in. My husband is in step 9. How long can we wait? So your husband's in stage 9. Anna, it's going to depend. Is your husband an RN? Is he a nurse or is he a nurse aide? That's a big difference as far as waiting is concerned. And it's hard for me to give exact timeframes. That's going to depend on embassy interview, what country you're at, how long it's going to take to get your embassy interview, all that kind of thing. So just telling me you're in step 9, I still can't put an exact timeline on that. I would need a lot more answers to those questions. All right, so moving on. So let's talk to the kids and how are the kids going to be successful in school? And Dr. Aranda shed some light on some of this. Get your child involved. Get your child involved. Sports, arts, clubs, plays, music, whatever your child is into, there is going to be some way for them to get involved. And getting them plugged in and involved is a great opportunity for them to continue practicing their English, but to do it in a way while they're doing something that they love. Okay? Investigate courses. So if your child is in high school, then you will have the opportunity to kind of pick some of their courses. Look at those courses. Make sure it's something your child is into, right? Don't just randomly let somebody else pick for you. Investigate the courses. Most places send home a handbook or a course handbook that talks about all the course descriptions. Look at it. Understand what your child would be learning. Do that together. Spend time doing that together. And then community sports and activities. Sometimes, especially in the elementary level, they don't have like official school sports. Like, for example, once you get to high school, that high school is going to have a team and they have a mascot. So here we have Catawba Ridge Copperheads, the Fort Mill Yellow Jackets, and the Nation Ford Falcons. And those high schools have teams. Middle school is also a place where they have teams, right? You can join a team and you play for your school. Elementary school doesn't really offer that. So community sports and activities. We have a program here called the YMCA. They are everywhere, all over the United States. So if you want your child to be interested, if you want your child to play a sport or be involved in an activity, YMCA is a great place to look. Many churches also have leagues and they have different child activities for your children as well. So there you go for getting your child involved. So let's pop over to some of these other questions. Eloise asked if we have an office in the Philippines. Yes, absolutely. You're welcome to submit your application and documents personally. I think we're still going to ask for an electronic copy, but bringing them with you, you'll be able to speak to someone directly in the Philippines. Our office is located in Manila. And then we also have the Horizon HRPC, Horizon Recruitment Pacific Corporation. And they're in the Philippines as well. So Hanny says, after signing a job offer and complying all the necessary documents, how long does it take to get your I-140 filed? That is a great question. Right now, I want to say it's taking between 9 months to a year. I think I'm going to say like 9 months for the I-140, around that. So it does. It takes a long time once it's filed, and then your petition gets approved, and then it goes over to the Department of Labor, and it does. It takes a while. And the reason it takes a while is because the United States is behind the times. Everything we do, we look through on paper. Even though you send it electronically, we print it out on our end, and we look at it on paper. When I say we, I say the United States, not worldwide. That timeline is completely out of Worldwide's hands. We can do nothing to make your process go faster. Once it's in the hands of the government, the Department of Labor, USCIS, wherever your paperwork is, we can't do anything to make it go faster. Our attorneys can't make it go faster. It's in the hands of the government. All we can do is check for a status update, really. How long does it take for your documents to get to USCIS? Well, it's going to depend on where you're mailing it from. Depends on where you're mailing it from. So 100%, it depends on how you mail it, all that kind of stuff. And you're going to send it to us, and then we send it on How long does it take? That would be the mail. So if we're sending it from Charlotte to Washington, D.C., 2 to 3 business days, But then just because we've sent it and it's been received doesn't mean it's been like opened and recorded on their end. They have stacks and stacks and stacks that they have to go through. That happens a lot with boards of nursing too. You may send your documentation and they may have physically received it, but they haven't had time to log it into the computer that they've received it because they've not manually taken yours, looked at it, and gone through it yet. So it takes a lot. It's a long process. It is. And so much of the process is out of our hands. And that's what's really frustrating. Really frustrating. Do we recruit CNAs from the Caribbean, mainly Trinidad and Tobago? First of all, Trinidad and Tobago, gorgeous. Holy smokes, what a beautiful area. The list for CNAs is very, very, very long. You are welcome to put your name on that list, but it is a long list for CNAs. The amount of time, just to give you an example, the amount of time you're going to spend on that list and the immigration process for nurse aides is you're looking at 5 years right now. And that's once you've accepted a job. It's about a 5-year process for nurse aides in the immigration. So, and in that time, you could go back to school, become an RN, and get over here faster than you would if you just went the CNA route. So if your goal is to come to the United States, it's much quicker to do it as an RN than it is a CNA. I'm just being completely honest with you. How long before we can be issued a visa before processing that is already, how long before we can be issued a visa for processing that is already in 9B stage? I'm not completely sure, Anna, that I understand your question. If you're in stage 9B, you should already have a visa screen. So I'm not 100% sure. Sam had a contract with National Healthcare Cooperation through your organization, which was later canceled. Any chance of restarting the process? Yeah, that kind of communication, Sam, is going to come from your case manager. So usually, I know a lot of times when a client will cancel, we do our best to try to find something else for you, but it depends on what's out there. It depends on what your experience is, your resume. So following up with your case manager is the best way to do that. The best way to figure out what next steps are when something like that happens. So that's, yeah, Tracy is exactly right. That is the best advice that I can give in regards to that. So I have one more video that I want to share with everyone. And I'm really excited about this video because this is a very, very dear friend of mine. She is running for the House of Representatives in the state of South Carolina, but she is also the president of the South Carolina School Board Association. So this lady, her son is actually currently teaching overseas. I taught her younger son, but she is just absolutely fantastic. She is on our local school board, but is also the president of the School Board Association for the state of South Carolina. So she's on here giving you advice as a mom, as someone who is very involved in the schools, and is the mother of someone who is teaching English abroad. So it's a really cool experience. And she gives some really great tips, not just for students, but for parents as well. So I will keep those questions coming while this video is playing. But I'm going to introduce to you guys, her name is Michelle Branning.
Hi there, my name is Michelle Branning, and I am a school board trustee in the Fort Mill School District. I'm also the president of the School Boards Association for the state of South Carolina. I wanted to send you a quick message to just help you with ideas or suggestions that will help you and your children to be successful in a United States school system. One of the things that I would tell you first and foremost is that it's super critical for you to speak English as much as possible in your home, as well as when they're in school, because the more that they can hear English, the faster they will be able to assimilate into what goes on in a classroom and understanding our classroom and what the curriculum makes up, where all of that is concerned. The second piece that I think is really important is to be involved not only in your school with activities and whatnot, but also when it comes to sports or clubs or fine arts performances, things of that nature. Anything that you can do that is more than just academics will certainly help your student to be successful. The other thing that will help you as a parent to be successful is to be involved in those student parent-teacher organizations or booster club organizations, anything that allows you to meet other families and other students will help both you to make connections for friendships here, but also to help your student to make friendships. We hope that you will come and enjoy and learn. And if there is anything we can ever do to help you assimilate to our culture and our education system, we are happy to do so. Welcome to the United States, and maybe we'll get to see you in South Carolina too.
All right, so a big shout out to Michelle Branning. Again, she is actually running for office, which I'm super excited for her. And she's also president of the South Carolina School Board Association. So that's a lady who knows her stuff. She has been around the block, that is for sure. Eloise, let's look at some of these questions that we have. Again, if you have questions about the immigration process, about the English exam, about bringing your child to school in the United States, enrolling your child in school in the United States, pop those questions in the chat. Tracy is sending them over to me. I'm new to this process. Can you get an idea as to how long it will take a U.S. RN? Take an RN to get to the U.S. from application. So from start to finish, we're looking at around 2 years right now. 2 years is kind of the start to finish process. And this is once you've accepted a job offer. Once you've accepted and signed your job offer, it's around 2 years. Now, we cannot control that. The government could come out tomorrow and push retrogression back, push the visa bulletin back to who knows where. We're hoping that doesn't happen. It's trending in a good way, right? It's trending towards more current, which is great. But around 2 years is kind of the expectation right now. Registered nurse, you have an IELTS academic passing score of 6.5 overall, a 7.5 in speaking. That's fantastic, Sandro. IELTS is one of those tests that's accepted to all 50 states, especially if you have a current nursing license in the U.S. Sandro, it's going to depend on, do you have a nursing license in the U.S.? Have you the NCLEX, the car, but the NCLEX is the engine. So to make the car go, you have to have the engine, right? So taking the NCLEX is very, very, very important. How can you get in touch with us? You are welcome to check out our website. Tracy can pop that in the chat for us. Our website, healthstaff.org. Apply now. But Sandra, that's going to, depending on job offers and all that, it's going to depend on your current experience, your work experience, and then that NCLEX. Like I said, having the NCLEX is huge. Take it, pass it in the United States, and get your license. Get a U.S. nursing license. Some states that I recommend if you're shopping for NCLEX states, Texas is a good one. New York is another good one. Illinois is really kind of up and coming. I'm starting to see a lot more people take it in Illinois. Indiana is another state of. The key is you need to find a state that does not require a social security number to get your license. That's what you're looking for. So do not take you can take your NCLEX in any state, but you want to take it in a state. Go ahead and get your license. That is key. Take it in a state. If not, you will be applying by what is called a score transfer. And that process is a pain in the butt. You heard me. It's a pain in the butt. Score transfer. It's doable. We're happy to do it. But that process takes longer. You all want to make it you all want to get to work as soon as possible once you get here, right? Go ahead, take your NCLEX in a state where you can get your license. I'll tell you right now, Florida, not one of those states. Florida requires a social security number to get your license. So don't take your NCLEX in Florida. Texas, New York, Illinois, all great options. All great options. The NCLEX fee is the same no matter where you are. It's the same test. It's just you want to take it in a state where you can get your license, because then you will be endorsing your license, and that process is way easier. And keep working. Keep working. That's also huge. What are the requirements for kids to be accepted in the schools in the US? Fantastic question. Yay, a question related to what I was talking about today. That makes me happy. There are, in the United States, for public schools, there are no requirements for a child, but there is no acceptance. All children, that is a law in the United States, all children have access to free and public education. That is in concrete. It's a law in the United States. You do not have to take a test to get into public schools in the United States. Now, if your child is coming from another country, obviously, where English is not spoken, then they may be asked once they're enrolled to take an English exam to see and gauge where their English proficiency is, to see if they're going to need English support moving forward. But as far as testing to get into United States schools, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Nope. Absolutely not. The other thing that I want to point out, though, is this is public school. So United States has 3 main systems of education, public school being the biggest. Public school is free. There's like a small enrollment fee, but it's like $100 or less usually. Public school, no testing to get in. Everybody gets in. Everybody gets to go. The only way you don't is if you do something really bad at school and you get expelled. But that kid still got to go. Private schools do have tuitions, and some private schools do have a test that you have to take in order to get in. So some of them are very expensive. For example, around here, you're looking at $12,000 to $15,000 per year for a private school education. That's just around where I am. If you go up to New York or California, you're looking at a lot more. And then charter schools. Charter schools are up and coming in the US. They fall under the umbrella of a public school because they receive government money, but they don't have to follow the same curriculums and that kind of thing. So charter schools, if you see that as an option for your child, if you're in this process and you're looking at, you're in the immigration process and you're looking at school districts or you're looking at job offers and you're like, I don't know, how do I tell? Because you want to choose somewhere that has a good school system too, right? Because you're bringing your children. Email me and ask me. I am happy to answer those questions for you. I am happy to give you a full report card on whatever you're looking at. You can email me multiple cities, right? But if you email me a big city like New York, it's going to be a really big report card because they have a lot of schools, hundreds of schools. So that's going to depend on where you live. I have to give a shout out to my girl, Arlene, who's been watching. Tracy just told me, she announced in the chat. She said, yay. So hi, Arlene. How long does a score transfer take? Woo, Ellis. I am so sorry you are in that process. Depends on the state. 100% depends on the state because you had to apply. You already know you had to apply to where you took that exam, and then they have to transfer it. So they have to get to that score transfer. And that is not on the top of their list of things to get to, unfortunately. So it depends. State by state, it depends. It is a long process. My advice to you, Ellis, is follow up every single week. Every single week. Like set a reminder in your phone, 9 a.m., email Board of Nursing. Where's my score transfer? Where are we at? Stay on them. Stay on them. Is COVID-19 vaccination for kids below 6 to 7 a requirement for them to? No. Before entering the U.S., I do not think COVID vaccines are a requirement anymore to enter the U.S. as far as immigration. Tracy may be able to double check that one for me. But for example, I mean, as a citizen, I can come and go from the U.S. without a COVID vaccine. but I'm not sure about immigrating to the United States if you have to have a COVID vaccine. I don't think we ever required it for children, just because the research was not very conclusive. The long-term effects, because it's a relatively new disease, right? The long-term effects of the vaccine, I don't think were ever conclusive on the effects of children specifically. So that's a great question. Tracy, if you could pop that into a Google search, I can do it. Is the COVID-19 vaccine required for children immigrating to the U.S.? The CDC in the United States, Center for Disease Control. I'm looking at the new vaccine criteria. Okay, what vaccines are required for U.S. immigration? Are you ready? I do not see COVID on here, so I'll tell you that. Mumps, measles, rubella, polio, tetanus and diphtheria, pertussis. Most of this is done when they're babies. Hepatitis A, hepatitis B, rotavirus, meningococcal disease, varicella, pneumococcal disease, and seasonal influenza. So those are the vaccines required for U.S. immigration. Look at that. That's a lot. Maybe I can copy and paste this into the chat. I don't know if everybody will see it. No. It does. Yeah. It's not going to post very well. So, but there you go. Those are the vaccines required for U.S. immigration. That was a great question. I got to learn something today. Thank you. Let me pop back over and see if we have any other questions. I'm excited to bring your kids. You're Filipino, but the eldest is studying hard in the UK, so she speaks English really well. That's fantastic. That is fantastic. How old is your oldest child? Will they stay in the UK or will they come to the United States? But having someone in your home that speaks English really well is a beautiful and wonderful gift. So put that to good use. The only thing is, so since she's in the UK, make sure there's going to be some terminology differences, right? So for example, I think they call their subway system over there like the tube. I feel like that's right in the UK. Bathrooms are called something different. So there may be some differences in what we call things. So just make sure you know that, but I'm sure that your child's English is going to be better than what we speak in the United States. I'll tell you that, because she is learning the Queen's English. She is learning the right English, unlike what I have, which is Southern English. I think that is it. I'm not seeing any more questions from Tracy popping through. Oh, Tracy is typing. He is typing. He may be sending me some more questions. Molly and Ashley confirm COVID vaccine is not required for entry. It may be required to obtain a visa, but I have not seen that. According to the CDC, I have not seen that. So, but the CDC, those are questions. If you ever have vaccine questions for public education, for immigration, any of that, we use what is called the CDC, or Center for Disease Control. They are the ones who set the guidelines of what vaccinations are required for even just travel to the United States, but especially immigration. But and public school enrollment, they set the requirements for vaccinations for public school. So turning 7, the youngest is 1. Oh, so you're bringing over a whole beautiful young family. That is so exciting. I am so excited for you. If you have any questions, please let me know if you have any questions about when it comes time to look at schools for your children, because I know it's so important to choose a good school for your child. I cannot stress that enough. A lot of times you're going to have choices of where you live is going to impact what schools your child has or children have access to. So choosing where to live is so important. Make sure you're investigating your school districts. Make sure. And look at all your options. Look at all the options. So I think that is it. I think that's all we have for today. Thank you again to Dr. Aranda and Michelle Branning for filming those videos. It was a big argument of U.S. nurses about this vaccination. Yes, it was. It's still over in the United States. The COVID-19 vaccine still sparks political debate in the United States within families. So it's crazy. It is crazy the things that we are arguing about nowadays. So, but yes, thank you for asking that question so that I had the opportunity to research it. So thank you for asking that question. I will say you do not see as many people in the United States after traveling overseas. Wearing masks is not a requirement. I don't think that's a requirement anywhere anymore, but you don't see them very often in the United States. Usually now, if you see people wearing them in the United States, it's because either they may be sick or they have, especially during flu season in the US, or they have a low or immune deficiency issue to where they're easily susceptible to different things. Or sometimes you'll see people who are undergoing cancer treatments. They will wear masks in public or maybe ask you to wear a mask around them. So that is something that you do not see in the US as much as I saw overseas, right? Is mask wearing. Did not see any, don't see that as much over here anymore. You see it every now and again, just not as frequently as we did during the big COVID boom of 2020 and 2021. Your eldest is incoming college after 2 years, recommendation college or university for nursing. So your oldest child wants to be a nurse in the US, Rowena? That's awesome. That is awesome. And wants to study nursing in the United States. That's fantastic. So in order for your child to study nursing in the United States, if you're coming from overseas, they are going to have to take an English exam to study in the US. And so you'll have to look at universities and what English exam they are looking for and what English exam they accept. Rowena, it's going to depend on where you are, but there are a lot of great nursing colleges all over the United States. Every state has great nursing colleges. So it's hard for me to just pinpoint one. But every state has a lot of great nursing schools. I'm always a fan of the nursing colleges that have medical universities attached to them. And that's going to be your major universities. That, for example, you have the Medical University of South Carolina, MUSC. That's here in South Carolina. That's a big one. Wake Forest, Atrium Health Wake Forest, but Wake Forest has a phenomenal nursing program as well. So look into your state once you have your state assignment and then start looking at those universities. Yum Yum's going to be excited. You'll be assigned in North Carolina. Fantastic. There are lots of great school options in North Carolina. Lots of great school options. So I am happy to help you once you have that final placement to determine where a great place for your kids would be. So that is all I've got for you today. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you so much for stumbling into my corner and embracing this new time of starting at 8:30. Sorry, the chat wasn't working great, but a big shout out to Tracy, who was copying and pasting from all over where we are broadcasting to our social media channels. But again, a friendly reminder, don't face the corner, face the world with Worldwide. I'll see you next week.